Hi, I am Keith, and welcome to my art channel and to my art studio. This is one of my works of art right here. It's called Smiling Dragon. It is acrylic on canvas, and it's one of the styles I do. If you notice, it's kind of sci-fi looking Dungeons and Dragons style artwork, and that's all I do on this channel. Now, I'm making this video. It's going to be a ranting video because you are more likely to follow me if you get to know me a little bit. So I'm going to tell you some stuff. A lot of this is going to be opinion. You may disagree, you may agree. I don't know. You just need to get to know who I am. And I'll give you a little bit of a history about me as well and my art journey. And you may have similar experiences in your art journey as well. Let's just start at the beginning. My art, I'm thinking, probably started when I was probably about 5 years old. I can't quite remember. I don't think I really got into art heavy until I was probably into junior high or even high school, when I was on the high school paper as a cartoonist. As a freshman, I was on the paper, which is unheard of at the time because the journalism is for juniors and seniors. My brother got me on the paper because I was a cartoonist. I followed Mad Magazine. Caricatures was my life. I loved it, and I eventually got to a point where I got to go to the Nebraska State Journalism Awards as a freshman, which was pretty impressive, and won the state. I have somewhere in this house, there's a medal. It says first place, and I'll never forget the day I won that medal. Never forget it. I was on the edge of my chair. They announced number 3, number 2. I'm thinking, number 1, and they said my name, and I leaped out of my chair and got my medal. It's one of those things where you live your high school life forever. Now, I'm going to say that, I'm much older now. If you check the gray in my beard, you can probably get an estimation about how old I am. I'm not going to tell you. But anyway, so my art journey, high school, 4 years. I'll never forget my art teacher. Her name was Alana. She was all right. She encouraged me as a senior to go to the Kansas City Art Institute. Now, I live in Nebraska. You see my little N here? So I live in Nebraska. And I toured the Kansas City Art Institute. I remembered that. And I know it was extremely expensive to go there. And I knew there was no chance in heck I was ever going to afford it. But it was nice to go down there and just kind of visit. I know in Kansas City, Hallmark Cards was big at the time. They had their headquarters is down there. And I think a lot of those artists got jobs making greeting cards. It wasn't really my thing. So after high school, I kind of putted around for a few years. And a friend of mine encouraged me to go to Kearney, Nebraska, University of Nebraska at Kearney. The first year I went was when they switched from the state college to the university. So I spent 4 years there. I got into a band, which I will never forget. I probably should put some pictures up of the band or some of our music. But we toured all over Nebraska. It was one of the best times of my life. During that time, I met my wife. It was great. I went to about 3.5 years of art school at the college level, which I loved, especially the painting stuff. My advisor was the 3D art guy, and I didn't really like that much because the 3D room is full of dust because you're throwing pots and you're making all kinds of clay stuff. It wasn't my thing, and I just heard recently he passed away. I mean, my college years was back in 93, 94, 95, in that era. So the music we were playing in the band was about we were doing a lot of 90s music, which I really enjoy, and some 80s stuff as well. So I realized at the time I was there that I was probably not going to get a career in art. So, which is sad to say. I thought maybe I might get a job on a newspaper, maybe, or a magazine. But that's why when I meet high school students these days, I don't really encourage them to go into art, especially now that we have AI, which ruins it. I mean, any job that you could have had is now gone, and that sucks because the people who are buying that crap are the art directors who are trying to save money. Now, as an artist, I look at that AI work, and it looks terrible. It looks computerized. It has no soul. It has no imagination. In my artwork, here I'm gonna pull this off real quick. My artwork is all about imagination. This picture behind me right now is a horn-billed bird. Only I added a bunch of spiky things on him because I am into sci-fi. And I know that sci-fi artwork is considered the lesser than other. which sucks because sci-fi artwork to me is all about imagination. And my artwork is all about imagination. I'm not a big fan of hyper-realistic artwork. And I remember in college, they set up, it was a painting class or drawing class, still lifes. You know, if you're going to be doing academic stuff, like learning how to make straight lines, how to shade, that's perfectly fine. And there are still lifes out there I've seen that just blow me away. You know, it's just because the artist had such a style that it impressed me. I mean, actually, recently I saw this picture on Facebook, and I follow a lot of Facebook art pages, and I posted there too, under Keith Trimm Art. Keith Trimm Art. And I saw a picture of a snow scene. It was so, if I would have saw it in a photograph, I wouldn't even have thought twice about it. I would just would have tossed it aside. But the way the person painted the snow just rocked me. It's like, what the hell? How do you see that? So there is a lot of skill and a lot of talent. But to me, the reason why I kind of go for this kind of stuff is because I like the imagination. To me, art should be more than just creating a photograph onto a photograph. You shouldn't be duplicating the world. I mean, if you're trying to develop skill, that's fine. But to me, I take that skill and then I change it up and make it my own. I have lots and lots and lots of artworks. I have Deviant Art. If you follow that page, just go to Keith Trimm on Deviant Art. All my work is right there. I'm on Facebook. I'm obviously on YouTube. And I'm also on the TikTok machine. So anyway, let's talk about artwork. Is artwork important? I thought about this before I made the video. I was almost going to call it that. Is artwork important? To me, yes and no. Because early in my life, I learned how to do this stuff. And it's stuck in my brain. It really did stick in my brain. And the older I get, the more I think that I should have some sort of legacy in case I get hit by a car or get cancer or something and I croak. There's going to be nothing behind that showed what I was able to do. So 3 years ago, I started this YouTube channel. And I was painting and painting and painting, and I got better and better. Some of the best artwork I've ever done in my life has been in the last 3 years. I mean, this thing here, I could not have done back in high school. No way. Because I practiced and practiced and practiced and kept trying and trying and trying. If you're wondering if practice matters, practice matters. It matters a lot. If you're a high school athlete, one of my side gigs is sports photography. And I follow a lot of sports, especially wrestling. And you have to practice to be good at anything, especially even art. Now, let's talk about my recent life here. A couple years ago, now I live in Nebraska, and I'm about 60 miles from Lincoln. And Lincoln has several art galleries, and there's one that's extremely popular, which is it's more like an old folks' home senior center, even though they call themselves a gallery, and they've been there for 20 years. They're very popular, but every inch of wall space is filled with something. Well, I joined that gallery. It was kind of like pay for space. I paid a fee, and I got my space. And for 1 month, I had artwork that was featured there, which was great. Only they stuck it against this big window. It was backlit. You couldn't see anything I did, so I had to put. Let me show you this. I had to put aluminum foil behind all my paintings because the light would shine through from the sun in the morning. And I took that down, and I still have the foil behind it. But for a month, I was a featured artist, which is great. I mean, it was fun. But my artwork went nowhere. Nowhere! Why is that? Because in Nebraska, if your artwork doesn't have corn in it, or a sunset, or a cow, or something with a horse in it, nobody cares about it. And even then, they may not care about it. I mean, there's lots of people out there who just don't care about this kind of stuff. And I don't know, even to this day, do I care about it? Probably not. I don't usually go to galleries. I mean, I should, but when I was a kid, I did. But nowadays, not as much. I hate to say I grew out of it because, I mean, I look at this stuff here and I think, man, wouldn't that be awesome in your living room hanging above your couch? And to a lot of people, they would say no, because it doesn't match the colors of their couch or their carpet. And I know, even back in the Renaissance days, when art was being made, it was decorative. Nowadays, we look at some of that stuff, and it just blows me away how they made their own brushes and ground their own paints out of dust and made this stuff that was so amazing. I don't know how they did it, but I remember Caravaggio was in the street just selling paintings just to eat. So I make my artwork for myself. I really do. I don't pander. That's not true. I do pander. I remember during making this channel, I thought, I'm going to try some stuff that's more mainstream. I painted pictures of like goats and chickens and parrots and other mainstream type stuff, thinking, I'll get a following if I do stuff that people like. Well, you know what? They didn't like that crap either. And I know YouTube is hard. It's very hard. I've been on it for 3 years now. And I had 325 followers. That sucks. It does suck. But I know YouTube's a huge place, and the internet's a huge place. Nowadays, competition is fierce. It's hard to get known unless you have a sex tape or recently murdered somebody, and you have a reputation already. It's hard to get anybody to look at your stuff. And I post my stuff on the popular Facebook pages, and I get a few thumbs up here and there, but nothing's really taken off for me. So that's why I'm making this video, because you need to get to know me as a person. So I'm going to tell you a few things about myself that, maybe we can bond here. So out of high school, I went to an art college in Omaha, where my brother lived. It seemed like one of those scam fly-by-night schools. I kind of enjoyed it. I kind of did, but I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere or do anything for me. And I remember this, and I'm not trying to brag. But I remember one of my teachers in that class leaning over and whispering in my ear or something, saying, "You're the only person in this school or this class that should be here." Basically, they were saying the other students were not that talented. And that was encouraging to me. I liked to hear that. It was cool. So, in a way, it was like a curse. Don't encourage me into this, because over the years, this has done nothing for me whatsoever. I'm a registered nurse by profession. The reason why is because being a nurse, you can find a job. Try to find a job doing this, forget it. I'm not going to hang out at art fairs in the 110-degree heat and try to hawk this stuff to people. I'm just not. It's just ridiculous. And I've tried the internet, and the internet is so busy, and there's so many talented people out there who are kicking your ass left and right. I need to find the people who dig what I do. I need a following and a fan club, and I just don't have one. Anyway, so I went to that art school, and a few years later, a good friend of mine who has passed away recently, he was a theater major, encouraged me to go to Kearney, which was one of the best times of my life. I tell you, I went to the university. I was a resident assistant for a year. That's another story. But at the time, I joined a band, and we toured all over the state, a little bit into Kansas. We did very well. There was me, another art student, a bass player who got us going. He was a band major. He was a bass player. We happened to be in the same dorm. He saw I had a guitar, recruited me, and we found a drummer, and we built this thing from scratch, bought a bus, and we did pretty good. Lasted about 3 years, but that was a fun time of my life. I met my wife there. Cabela's, if you're familiar with the outdoors guys, they had their main headquarters there. I met her there, and I remember she came to a gig, and long story short, we've been married almost 30 years now and have 2 kids. Anyway, so back to art. So I went there for like 3 or 4 years. I loved it. I love being in academia. Academia means something. You're in with a group of people who are like-minded, who care about what you care about, and it was a fun time. I'll never forget that. I loved art school, even though I knew I would never be an artist. I knew it. It was a special time in my life, but maybe you did the same thing. Maybe you went to art school and you realized that you were getting loans and loans and loans. And I tell you, I paid those suckers off for 30 years, and I just finally got rid of them. Thanks to the loan forgiveness program. As a nurse, I worked over 10 years at nonprofits, and I was able to get rid of the end of my student loans, which would have been paying off into my Social Security years. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about politics. if you're into what's going on nowadays, I feel very sad for you. If you're a college student, I feel so sorry for you. But I probably paid my student loans off 5 times over when you consider the interest that I was accumulating. But so for a long time after that, we got married. I moved to a small town back home. Got a job working in human services for a state institution, and I was working overnights. So on my nights off, I would paint because I had to have something to do, and I couldn't sleep. So I got into my artwork again, and I created some really cool stuff. I was doing 4 by 4 feet work on these boards I was buying at the hardware store. Those paintings, I have no idea where they are today. I gave them away, and that's another thing we talk about, giving your art away. That's a big sore spot with me. Anyway, after that, I probably quit painting for 20 years. I just didn't have any desire to do it because art, I mean, I was a nurse, I had kids, I had no desire to do this. I mean, it was getting me nowhere. I wasn't selling anything. But that's what sucks about art is because, you can make crap like this, but grandma is not going to put that in her living room. She's just not. And I'm not in a place in the middle of Nebraska where I'm going to find the right kind of people who are going to like this stuff. Maybe if I was in California, New York, who knows? But middle of Nebraska, unless there's a cow or a chicken or a goat in your picture, just forget it. Sad, sad, sad. Anyway, sometimes in my videos I'll say that Nebraska is the sci-fi fantasy capital of the universe or the world, and it's not true. It's the capital of my house. I have lots and lots of paintings like this hanging, and hopefully you've been watching these videos, these paintings I've been putting right here. That's kind of a portfolio piece as well. So I went to Kearney, and for 20 years I've been doing nothing, and I started getting some gray hair on the old chin here. I'm thinking I'm getting a little older, and I wanted something to stand out in case I croaked one day that would show that I actually could do this stuff. So I thought, I had a YouTube channel since 2008, which has nothing to do with art whatsoever. It was all local sports, local news, local. I had over 1,000 videos on that channel, and it does pretty well. But I wanted to have something that would show my artwork. So I started this channel about 3 years ago. I got like 320 followers right now, which is extremely disappointing because I thought I'd have 10 times that much. But I also realize I compete with a lot of people out there. There's lots of good artists out there. I follow lots of them on Facebook and on Instagram. I have an Instagram page. Just look up Keith Trimm Art, Keith Trimm Dragon Art. This channel was originally called Dragon Art because I do lots of monsters. If you're wondering why I do this kind of stuff, it's because it's fun. I have to be invested in what I do for me to work on this stuff for hours and hours and hours. I mean, I have the skills to draw, the skills to paint, but if I don't have something that I enjoy, I'm not going to waste my time with it, and I'll do something else, like write books. I've written over 25 full-length novels. They're all online. I'm not going to tell you, it's not under my name. It's under a pen name because some of the works I do are controversial, and I don't want that coming back to bite me in the ass. I mean, if I'm going to be fun and free-spirited in my writing, I have to be able to just not have it come back and bite me in the ass. But I have writing was a huge thing for me. I'm a writer. I'm a musician. I mean, I told you earlier, I played in a band for years and years and years. I play guitar, I play bass, I record my own music. I have lots and lots of music on YouTube. I should probably link it so you can listen to it. Listen to it. But anyway, I have videos of me playing, which is funny because I had long hair down to here. I was a child of the 80s. 1984, I was a senior in high school, and that's like when Rat and Dokken and Whitesnake was very popular, which I liked. I did. I'll have to admit my favorite music these days is probably 90s music, more like Soundgarden, Stone Temple Pilots. I enjoy those guys a lot. I'm more of a 90s guy. I have acoustic guitar. I've done some stuff on here where I've played some music I'm not going to link those because I don't claim to be a singer. I claim to be a guitar player. I claim to be a bass player. I claim to be a songwriter. And because I had to record my own music, I guess I'm an engineer as well. But I enjoy the music part of it. When I was a kid, in the 90s, it was very important to me that I learned how to play lead guitar. I wanted to do solos, which is funny because I look back at those days and I remember playing like in Cozad, or Lexington, Columbus, and it was fun. I'm not trying to put that down. It was a blast. I enjoyed it. I'll never forget it. The band I was in was very, 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 very special to me. But I wanted to learn how to play lead guitar so I could go, you do all that fancy stuff, and I did it. I studied it, and this is back before YouTube was even existed. I had to get a cassette player and listen to that stuff and learn how to play it. To play Ozzy Osbourne, Crazy Train solo, took work, and I learned how to play it. And I remember there's a video of me out there playing it, and I'm thinking all the people out there in the audience probably didn't give a crap. All they cared about was that they were getting drunk and they could dance to the music. Most people just care about, if they recognize the vocals, the melody, and the song, they're perfectly happy. I put a lot of work into it. And then I became a bass player because our bass player quit. So I had 6 weeks to learn how to play bass, which was funny because I didn't want anybody in the audience to think that I didn't know what I was doing. So I sat there and I played and I played and I played and I practiced and I practiced and I practiced. And in the end, I thought I was pretty damn good about it. But I don't think anybody in the audience probably cared. Most of the people just wanted to see a band. They wanted to hear music they recognized. And as long as the vocalist sounded good, and our vocalist was very, very, very good, we got a really good one. And our band was actually pretty popular. I'll never forget those. That was 30 years ago. But I still have videos of it. But as long as they could recognize the song, they were happy. So I'm thinking, I learned how to play lead guitar, rhythm guitar, how to play bass, how to paint crap like this, how to type and write books. Keith Trimm is all about art. All about art. I enjoy my career as a nurse, but nursing, especially in long-term care, I don't know. It's tough. It's hard. If you're a nurse and you're listening to this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it pays my bills, so I can do this kind of crap on the side. So this video, how long have we been into it now? It says here 23 minutes. If you're still here, I do appreciate that. So recently, in the last 3 years, I've started painting again, and I painted and painted and painted over and over and over and over sci-fi fantasy, because that's my thing. I do landscapes, but my landscapes always end up behind my characters. This one here does not actually have a background. I went with just kind of a neutral background. But, I can basically paint whatever you want, but I don't choose to paint boring things because I have to be invested in what I do to paint. I really do. I have to be invested in it. I have to enjoy it. If I don't enjoy it, I'm not going to waste my time making it. I'm into the Star Wars type stuff. I'm a heavy metal guy. Just the other day, yesterday, I was watching a Rammstein concert video. Rammstein, those guys? I love Rammstein because they're that's what I'm into. Most of my music, my personal music, doesn't sound like that. I'm more mainstream in my music, and I probably should put a link in the description here. And while you're here, please subscribe. Please subscribe, because I need many, many more subscribers. And I'm making this video to you so you can get to know me, so you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Keith, who lives in Nebraska, home of the Cornhuskers. Cornhuskers football. Do I care about Cornhuskers football? Cornhuskers football? No. I've never been to a game. My family has. My mom did. My brothers go. I've never been in Memorial Stadium. I've been outside of it because it's right next to the museum. What's that called? It's Moral Hall. Moral Hall. They have like some it's kind of a paleo type museum. They have mastodons and they have all kinds of really cool stuff. I love that museum because of all the stuff they have. Anyway, where were we at? We were at the point where I was talking about my artwork. Does art matter? Does your art matter? Yes, your art matters because you're a human being. Human beings matter. AI art does not matter because it's crap. Total crap. I've made several videos on this channel about AI art, how much I hate it. You know, let's put everybody out of work and put them on the streets because we can't find jobs. AI art all looks alike. It looks terrible, but it's the kind of thing that most art directors is going to go towards because it's cheap, saves them money. All the artists that came before me are being sampled, put together, and conglomerated on a AI website, and you're putting out crap. Crap. You're not going to find this. Let's look at this one right here. If you're still with me, I do appreciate it. This is a cassowary bird, and this part in the end, are you familiar with the movie Alien? Alien, it's a good movie. I've seen it many, many times. And that, I attached that to my cassowary bird to make an alien bird because I love sci-fi fantasy. Yeah, I do. I'm not into still lives. I'm not into going out to the park and painting pictures of trees. I paint pictures of trees in the backgrounds of my artwork. I don't think trees... I shouldn't say this. I should just shut up my mouth before I say anything. It's going to make me upset, but my work has to be creative. If I'm not invested in what I do, I won't even do it. I love this picture. I hope you can see the whole thing. I love it because I started off with a picture of a cassowary bird that I made of my own. I changed it up. I added different colors. I added this little... it's like a little... I hope you didn't see that. It's like a little mirror, and it has a lot of parts from the Alien movie. Anyway, I should probably wrap this up. So I hope you subscribe to my page, because now you know a little bit about me, about what I do, and my ideas as far as art goes. If I wasn't for this YouTube channel, I probably never would have got back into it, but I'm kind of glad I did. I have lots of artwork that sits in my house that nobody's ever going to buy. They're never going to stick it in their house. They don't want to put this next to their couch, their carpet. But I would. My house is chock full of these things because I make these things. And if you think they're cool, make me an offer, and I will wrap them up, and I will sell them to you, and I will ship them to you, and, whatever. Anyway, thanks for being here. Keith Trimm Art. Keith Trimm.